So in the same theme of alchemy of trust, we're now looking at creativity and how we can trust ourselves. Creativity is an expression of our trust of ourselves. And this one I've connected, or we've connected it to the heart chakra, um, where it is a true voice, my voice, not someone else's voice. And then maybe something around that I have the trust in my own voice, that it's okay to not, I suppose going back to that outcome, there's no judgment in art, or in creativity specifically. Not, it doesn't have to be art necessarily, but in creating my reality, creating my experience within this world is also a creative act, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So if I may add, what if creativity is also in a sense of expression? And I look back at nature, where nature is always an expression of of what it is. If a tree, something gets leaned against a tree, the tree will grow around it. It still continues to be a tree. And we've been taught to look at limitations or barriers. And I could say myself, not a writer, not, don't have a writing experience, but now at my age, I'm learning to write and I'm enjoying it because it's been what I would consider a limitation for a long time. So I'm trusting my ability to just be able to create some dialogue. It doesn't have to be compared to anyone else. But it's a shape of each time I do it, I have greater expression, and testing myself with that, and even creating the AI prompts for creating writing that can spur me on with some ideas and generation, trusting that expression of myself, of how I truly want to be, because I'm an intensely curious person. I haven't always been able to express it in ways that, where other people can get. But if I can understand that curiosity is an endless supply for me. I've been a seeker since the moment I drew my first breath. I didn't understand that. But that curiosity again is what has been a driving force for me to have to have more and see more and experience more.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have that, even just being curious about how else can I do this? This doesn't, we're not all great writers, but we are all great seekers in many ways. And that expression with our heart of being curious and openness is such a driving force for us to really have this experience every day. Even writing, maybe leaving a note for a friend, the simplicity of that, to say thank you to someone, is an experience of writing.
I think also the creativity can be found in connection. When you find people that you can connect with and that you actually can speak freely with, so you can explore all kinds of topics where you can explore, whatever happens to cross your mind. We've never, or I have never had the luxury of being able just to, stumble my words out and have somebody, sort of prompt me to clarify rather than have somebody look at me and go, no, that's all right. And I think a lot of that has to do with our education system and the boxes that we've been placed in with that. So, again, in my 60s, being able to openly express what's in my head, which a lot of times isn't, what's the right words here? Isn't the way everybody else thinks. Oh, look at that, Richard. We should explore this. And he's going, oh, yeah, okay, let's go. And I'm going, oh, wow, that's amazing. And you carry on, as opposed to, no, you're wrong. How do you know that? Why do you know that? Whatever. So that's a form of creativity as well, which we've been stifled so much in. So should we clear this, Richard? What do you think?
Yes, we should.
Okay. Go ahead.
Open all timestamps on where we have been stifled to try and fit into other people's perspectives of curiosity, creativity, expression, that they were in the containers around us, the brain box and mind scripts that have been so limiting in the past and conditioning. Open up all of those containerizations, programs, systems Open, clear, delete, destroy, eradicate, obliterate, to through each source and beyond now. And open all the hesitation programs where we hesitant to speak a question of curiosity because we don't want to appear foolish. In all the times in maybe school where we were shamed, ridiculed, humiliated for speaking up to something because it didn't fit into the paradigm that was presented. It didn't fit into the box that was there. How dare we be different than someone else? How dare we ask a question that's not on the list, the required list of questions? Open, clear, delete, destroy, eradicate, obliterate now.
Ooh. And open all time sweeps to the curiosity, to the creativity, to the brilliance of everything that is out there and everything that is available to us. Open all blocks to that. Open anywhere where we have been programmed or where we have had installation blocks or boxes created inside us. So we don't have the opportunity to be as expansive as we have the capacity to be. Open, clear, delete, destroy, and obliterate to, through, and beyond source. All of that now. And Richard, I'm going to let you take it because it's bothering my voice again. Wow.
Open all time sweeps again, where some of us had the real magic of creativity very young. And yet it was stifled, it was shut down because it was looked at as weird. No, that's not the creativity they want, because the creativity they want was exclusively their own mindset. Anything outside that they didn't deem possible. Therefore, as a child, you were shunned. They were trying to stuff you into their brain box, their mind script of creativity. Open, clear, delete, destroy, eradicate, obliterate, to, through each source and beyond now. And open all time sweeps around shame around dinner tables, where the creativity of you asking questions and everybody looking at you. And as soon as the parent had ridiculed, the rest had permission to ridicule with them. How dare you? What are you thinking? What were you thinking when you asked a question like that? Of course, that's not possible. Anywhere somebody said because they gave you a plateau, their plateau, and forced it upon you, which just became this dead weight. Open up all of those programs of others conditioning, their exclusiveness that we see so common now. Their exclusiveness of how you should think, what you should think, and trying to fit into their control because they were too narrow-minded or too afraid to look like they didn't know what they were doing. Open, clear, delete, destroy, eradicate, obliterate now. Go ahead, Wendy.
And open all time sweeps around where our creativity has been funneled. So it was appropriate, for example, for me to sew, but I wasn't supposed to paint or draw or design. So your creativity is been appropriate or been funneled into appropriate channels. And whatever those appropriate channels were, your creativity could be expressed in cooking, for example, but perhaps not baking. So there's been limitations that have been placed on our creativity. And open all the time sweeps around those limitations where we can truly accept, embrace, and explore what else is possible in this arena. Open, clear, delete, destroy, and obliterate anything standing in this way of this to, through, and beyond source now.
I just realized, and this as we're adding on, my creativity has really come through this development of time sweeps, because there's been no limit to how it's unfolded for us. We allow the expansion, and this has been such a blessing in my life to have this awareness of this creativity. So what else is possible for someone else that is creating something that isn't norm, but maybe it's a model, maybe it's a modality, maybe it's a method, but they're able to explore their creativity inside that for the very sake of just their own experience. It doesn't have to be life-changing or life-gifting, but again, if it's a painting or something they're doing for themselves, then okay, if it's something for your own expression, nobody else doesn't need it, it's for someone else to see it. Your writing, your book, your journals, many are like that you can do for yourself, to be your own your own creativity, genius, but it's not for the world to see. Open all time seas where we have denied ourselves that creativity just for our own personal expression, our own personal journey of journaling, awareness, painting, art, crafts, planting flowers, gardening, growing things like that that could be viewed by others, but again, it's your expression, your work, and your colors that fits and suits you. To hell with what other people think. Enjoy your experience and open up all time states where you have been lived in shadows, trying to do things secretly, trying to do things quietly. Maybe you live on your own. Maybe there's some things you could do with your place that you want to, that's for you. Open up time states where you have denied yourself just to put up a piece of art or a mural or a rug that you like that you want to hang on the wall. Open all time seems you denied yourself to have this personal expression for yourself. Open, clear, delete, destroy, and eradicate all of the programs because that it may look different. Of course it is. Open, clear, delete, destroy, eradicate now. Uh-huh.
It's interesting the visceral reactions that happen when we're really into something. I'll cough, Richard will yawn. And for me, I want to open all the time sweeps around that vocal expression. I've stumbled through this all day to day. And the ability to speak from my heart, from whatever downloads I'm receiving, is something that, has been stomped on for my entire life, or been questioned, or been, I've hit brick walls. So the ability to open to the trust of that is obviously still a work in process for me, because, my throat keeps closing. What time sweeps has allowed for me is the opportunity to know that that's happening, and the tools to be able to actually work through that. So we have a tool at our fingertips that you go open, clear, delete, open, clear, delete, open, clear, delete, and that starts to let itself go. So the voice becomes stronger, or the whatever, the inside you starts to dissipate when you're in a situation that's really, really hard. So you open, clear, delete everything to, through, and beyond source that is blocking what is in my vocal cords at the moment that is causing this problem, and obliterate it, sending it back to returning it to sender now.
And even that is a creative process. Being able to open, clear, delete is creating the version that you want to create.
Well, it's the recognition at the time that there is something there and it can be shifted. It's not that I'm frozen and I can't do anything. There is movement. And I think that's one of the brilliances of time sweeps, is it creates movement. So you're not stuck. You're not having to rehash whatever for however long in order to let it go.
Even in our expression, if we feel frustrated or blocked, we can just say all this frustration and block, open, clear, delete, open, clear, delete, open, clear, delete, open, clear, delete, open, clear, delete. And allow yourself to realize, thinking, that whatever this is, I'm able to process and move it in an instant, because, blocks show up randomly, irritation shows up randomly. There's no sometimes rhyme or reason when you're writing, all of a sudden there's like, okay, I'm frozen. So whatever this frozen piece is, open, clear, delete. It just allows us again to move whatever this energy, this little hiccup, this little burp, and again continue in our process, because you are able to take action quite quickly when you run a clearing. And I think that's the magic of this. We don't have to understand, we don't have to know, we don't have to have this big mental dialogue to have this incredible knowledge. Sometimes it's just an irritation, sometimes it's just a mental gap. We've gone and just you take action, and then the action will allow your energy to flow into where you're choosing it to go.
Yes, you're trusting it, because you're trusting that it is a possibility, or that
Yes.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you're not doing at that point is you're not taking emotion that, or the the frozen state, or you're not taking, well, particularly that emotion and stuffing it into your body for storage
Yeah.
until such time as it's appropriate to deal with it, which is never.
Yeah.
To give this, well, here's a lifetime or a real life example. I work at a school, and I had a young lady that was just beside herself. She'd lost 2 grandparents in like 3 weeks, trying to deal with major classes and everything else. And I sat her down, and she was crying, and I'm not a counselor, but she came to me. So I looked at her and I went, okay, let's try this. And we did the open, clear, delete, and then we did some EFT tapping that Richard is an expert at. And I've not seen her again. And that's I mean, this girl, I know she's, there every week. She's fragile. But we gave her something that would just shift and ease, and she's okay. She can move on. She's amazing.
That is amazing. And I also love hearing there's a lot of letting go in trust, isn't there? So it's about doing the action, trusting the action, but then also trusting the release and letting it go.
The key point is action, because we get caught in apathy. So many times we ruminate because we shouldn't, and we decide, and we have to figure out, we have to plan, we have to do all these details, and it keeps us frozen in state of just, well, we just give up. We just don't even, we thought I have a thinker, then we just it drifts away with like a dog lifting its head up and then back down again.
You ever
So
said the words, I'll be happy when, or when I lose the weight, or, when this happens, when I retire? Yeah.
bridge words. No action is taken, or because. Because is another bridge word. We get caught in those words. So open all time sweeps around bridge words of when I, then I, because, open, clear, delete, and destroy. All the energies and the incredible magnetism that those have to take away our energy. They are energy sucking words. Open, clear, delete, and destroy, eradicate, obliterate, tooth, reach, source, and beyond.
Now. And I mean, we're all in relationships. We've all got kids or had kids. And, we all hold the energy of the family. And holding that energy sometimes doesn't allow us to move, because we feel that we have to do, it's the have tos. I have to do. This is only appropriate. So therefore, I'm stuck. And, when the kids move out, when the husband gets another job, whatever the circumstances are, this just gives you some movement. It gives you some freedom. It gives you some opportunities, some options, so you don't feel so stuck. And that starts to move everything around you. Your relationships with your kids, everything starts to shift.